Now we are going to make sorrel soup with eggs. First we put in chop end of a loin of mutton and then part of a knuckle of veal. We do not have those right now, so we will putting in beef bone soup, soup bones, and neck of lamb. So I will get those in. In.
Next, the recipe calls for pepper, salt, and cloves, which we have here.
Next, it calls for a little mace. Now, mace is the outer layer of nutmeg, and this is nutmeg. And it tastes a lot like nutmeg, so we're going to use nutmeg instead.
And finally, it calls for a faggot of herbs, of sweet herbs. And a faggot is basically a bunch of stick herbs tied up in a cloth and set into the stew to season it. We don't have stick herbs right now, so we're using ground dried herbs.
And now that all of the spices are in, we add the water so we can boil it. And that is how you prep sorrel soup with eggs.
Now it is ready to be put into the fire.
We are going to separate 16 eggs for the orange pudding. So this is going to take a while.
Joy, would you like some help with these?
Sure, why don't you do one?
Now into the bowl.
Very good. So that's 2 down and 14 to go.
Colonial baking was done in ovens. Most homes would have an oven, but it would be outside and separate from the kitchen. Only a few very lucky people had ovens actually in their home near their hearth. Colonial baking was usually done once a week, and housewives would have a specific day on which they would do all of their baking to take advantage of using the wood to burn in the oven and to keep the oven heated all day long. Any intermediate baking that was needed in between those days would be done in a Dutch oven.
For the orange pudding, I have got to crumble this up and then add the cream to make a paste. Now I am making a paste with the breadcrumbs and the cream for the orange pudding.
Okay, now that we have everything that we need to make the orange pudding, we're going to put it all together. We've taken the yolks of 16 eggs, and we have a half a pound of melted butter. And now Molly is going to whisk them together. After she's completely whisked them, we will add the grated orange peels, orange rinds, and 2 spoonfuls of flour water, and of orange flour water, and 2 of rose water, and then a gill of sack that we have right there. And then we will add the paste of breadcrumbs and half a pint of cream. Now, Molly, would you like to add the orange flour water? And Alice, can you add the rose water and sack? And I'll add the grated orange rinds.
Do you want me to mix it up this time, or do you want to?
After you add the cream, you can mix it up if you want.
Okay.
I'd say use the spoon now.
I'd use the bigger spoon for this one.
Hi, just a word on Colonial cooking, specifically on baking. With the custard, the orange custard, we have it in a standard baking dish. However, in Colonial times, baking was often done in a pot like this, which is one reason they're called a Dutch oven. The way it worked was that you would take your pie or your pudding or your cake and you would set it into your pan, and then you would put it into a dry oven, put the top on it, and then set it into your fire. The top would keep the oven heating evenly, and you would use a hook and the handle to rotate it every few minutes to keep the pie or the cake baking evenly. When you were done, after it had completed its baking, you could remove the lid, reach in, and remove your dish, all completed. Another note on Colonial cooking. Most people are accustomed to a cast iron frying pan as looking like this, and these are used in our Colonial times. However, another very common cast iron skillet that is used is called a spider. It involves a cast iron skillet like this with 3 prongs beneath it, also made of cast iron, and it usually has a handle that's up to 2 or 3 feet long. This would be used for doing the frying like we're going to do with the parsnip fritters, because you could put the spider into the fire, keep a fire under it so that it was hot, which would heat the oil to a very high temperature, while keeping a safe distance with the handle. Then you would fry your parsnip fritters up like usual, pull the entire spider out of the fire, and then take them out and serve them. All right, our dinner is ready. We have our roast fowl. We have our sorrel soup with eggs with a fowl in the broth. We have our salver of stewed apples, some bread that was baked earlier in the week, our parsnip fritters along with our homemade syrup, and our orange pudding. And we are all set to sit down, say grace, and enjoy the meal. It's taken all day, but it's going to be well worth it. Well, that's it. Our meal is complete, and all there is now is for the kids to clean up the dishes. Those girls are going to have to get on it. Girls, don't forget to scrub the pots and pans with oil and salt. So thank you very much for tuning in to this edition of Colonial Cooking with Tabitha.